Hello, welcome to the Holistic Healer Podcast, a podcast dedicated to all things holistic. I am your host, Sherylea. Today's guest is Queen Aline. She is a health and detox coach who at the time of this recording is on day 43 of a 100-day juice fast. Today we dive into self-love, self-worth, developing self-discipline, the journey of juicing to reclaim her health, supportive community, and so much more. Enjoy the show. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Holistic Healer Podcast. I'm your host, Sherylea, and today I have a super special guest. Her name is Aline, otherwise known as Queen Aline on her handle, which is amazing. She is a health and detoxification coach, and I think, are you on day 43 of a 100-day juice fast?
That's right.
Wow.
Yes,
Amazing. Wow. That is so, I can't even wait to talk to you about this. I did one, like a year ago, and I made it to 21 days, but I can't wait to talk to you more about your journey and like 43 days. Wow. That is amazing. Wow. So thank you so much for coming on today. Yeah. Like I said, I'm so excited to have you here. So I always like to start with a little bit of a backstory. Like if you could maybe just tell us about your journey as to kind of what got you into juicing, raw foods, and this kind of present moment, having you sitting at day 43 of a 100-day juice fast.
Yay. Thank you so much. I want to thank you
Yeah,
for
of
having me
course.
here. It's such an honor. I love sharing my journey. I love having the opportunity to, connect with like-minded individuals that are on this healing path. And I'm just so grateful to be here today, to be alive, and to be in the presence of such a beautiful goddess such as yourself. And
Thank
so thank you
you.
so much
Likewise.
for having me. So yeah, my name is Aline and I'm 40 years old today. I am a single
Oh,
mom.
happy birthday.
Thank you. Well, not today, but I'm 40 now.
Okay, you're 40 now. Gotcha. I thought today was your birthday. I was like, wow, this is
Well,
amazing.
we can celebrate today.
Yeah, we can. We'll just pretend it's your birthday today.
Yes, yes. So I'm French speaking, so sometimes my English is sometimes the
That's
word.
okay.
Yeah, so I'm originally from Montreal, Canada. And yeah, I'm a single mom and I've been on this self-healing journey for, I would say, intensely as a plant-based, journey for the last 10 years. But really it's been since I'm like 15 that, I started really digging deep. I started, having to go to therapy. I was in and out of different treatment centers, mainly for eating disorders when I was younger. So I struggled with a lot of bulimia, anorexia. I was very, very underweight at some points, and then I went very, very overweight at other points. I was just like, food was
Wow.
my drug from the start. I really numbed myself a lot with it. I didn't really fully understand what was going on. A lot of ancestral stuff going on.
Yes.
Yes. So it's been a journey of like, and then after that, well, I got into drugs, alcohol later on. After that, it's sort of like I transferred the food addiction into these other substances, into sex addictions, a lot of depression, a lot of suicidal thoughts, ideations, behaviors, very self-destructive. I was like on a
Yeah, for
mission to
sure.
just annihilate myself. So I didn't really fully understand, I was medicated. I went to doctors. I took a lot of pharmaceuticals, antidepressants, anti-anxiety, sleeping
Wow.
pills, all the stuff. So I was very, very heavily medicated for a long time. But I knew deep inside, like, there's gotta be another way. This is not sustainable. I don't feel like
Yeah.
myself. Like I like to feel all the emotions. There was part of me that really wanted to feel. And then there was another part that just wanted to numb.
Yeah, numb out. Yeah.
Yeah. And when I discovered I was living in Belize. So I've been living in Belize since 2005. I moved
Wow.
there. I just discovered the beach. I loved the country. I felt at home there. So I moved there in 2005. And I basically
Wow.
lived there for about 11 years. And in that time is when I went plant-based. And yeah, it was just like, this is what I have to do. I was struggling with a lot of different skin issues, digestive issues as well. And then I
Yep.
did a bit of research and I was like, what? Meat takes so much time to digest in the body? Well, maybe I should just like lay off the meat for a little while and see what happens. So that's kind of how it
Yeah.
happened. And I love the
Oh.
animals, but really it was health that really got me into
Yep.
it. And then my love for animals kind of grew after that.
Yeah. That kind of was a byproduct of kind of
Yeah.
stepping onto the path. I know it seems to be like it's either one or the other. Either you get into it for ethical reasons
Mhm.
and then go for the health,
Yeah.
all the amazing health benefits, or vice versa.
Yeah.
So, what was it that made you kind of like? So, it's one thing to kind of get on the path of like you were plant based, and then what kind of made you decide that you wanted to start exploring raw foods and living foods?
Yeah. Well, that happened pretty early on, actually, that I discovered the path of living foods, that I heard about Aris Latam and then Dr.
Yes.
Sebi. I discovered Fully Raw Christina around that same time. So, kind of, I was being exposed to it right from the start.
Yep.
And I knew deep in my heart that this is what I was meant to be doing, but it took me a
Yep.
long time to get there. I started
Yes.
experimenting with some juice cleanses, but then I would go back to, the pastas and the
Yeah.
potatoes and the beans. And so for many years, I was like, I would still say like high raw, maybe like 70%, but I was still having those other foods. But it's really
Yeah.
because I was seeing some improvements, but I still knew I could feel better. It was like, how can I feel better? How can I feel better? And then Dr. Morris came along a little bit later, and then I understood that, I needed more fruit in my lifestyle. I
Yes.
needed
Yeah.
Professor Arnold Eretz too. I started finding Professor Spira. So they were like, fruit, eat the fruit, and that's the most detoxifying. And then when
Yeah.
I did my first extended juice cleanse, which was 3 years ago, that was really my first, I would say, longest full experience with raw foods, with living foods. I had done a few days, a few weeks before that, but really when
Yep.
I did 113 days. That was 3 years ago. And
Oh
I was
my
like, whoa,
goodness.
I feel amazing because I'm on
Wow.
living foods. Like I'm on juices, which is fruits mostly, and then some green juices. So I was like, okay, there's
Yep.
something here. I'm coming online. And then I realized I wanted to help people. I wanted to, just like make this my life now, start growing my own
Yeah.
food. And, my one of my dreams is to create a community, eventually to have a space where we could grow our own food, gather together,
Yes.
host retreats, things like that. So all of this kind of like came online around the same time. So that's when,
So
yeah.
yeah, sorry. So so in when you got into the juicing, who was what was the catalyst for that? Like who was? Like did somebody really kind of inspire you to start going on extended juice fasts like that?
Yes, I would say two people. I have a good friend of mine that I knew in Belize called Queen Nicole, and she did
Okay.
a 48-day juice cleanse, and I was like, whoa. I thought that was, you know,
Like crazy.
crazy. Yeah, like where are you getting your
Yeah.
protein from? How is she still alive?
Yeah.
All these questions, right, that many people have when they, you know, see what I'm doing. They're like, "Oh my gosh, what are you
Yeah,
doing?"
right.
But I had all those. So she showed me what was possible. And then I discovered a man by the name of Shane Sterling. He has
Yeah.
Raw Vegan Heroes.
Uh-huh.
So I discovered him on YouTube and he was talking about mucoid plaque. And he was like, well, you got to
Yeah.
go 40 days, a juice cleanse or more to remove the mucoid plaque. This is what's causing depression, bloating, constipation,
Yeah.
all these health problems. I was like, whoa, I never heard about mucoid plaque before. So as soon as I heard 40 days, I said, I have to do this. So I joined his community and I just went for
Wow.
it 40 days. But then I kept releasing more and more. And he was like, well, as long as you're releasing, you got to keep on going. So I kept on going for over 100 days. And then
Wow.
I went on to becoming his assistant too for a while. I was working for him in that group. So,
Yeah.
it kind of like snowballed into me finding out like, oh, I'm a coach and I like to do this and I like to help others. And then I started my YouTube
Yeah.
channel and all of that. So yeah, it came from that juice cleanse. So yeah, Shane and I
Wow.
would say Nicole really inspired me to go the distance with the juice cleanse. And then having a
And so
community. Yeah.
yeah, and yeah, the community. So and sorry, so how long ago was that you did
That
that?
was 3 years ago.
3 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay. And so at the end of that, like were you using anything during that juice cleanse like to help things along like enemas or colonics or did you just use straight juices?
So I wasn't really doing the enemas or colonics at that point. I did incorporate some husk and clay. That
Yep.
was the protocol that he was recommending. So I was having a little bit of that, which acts kind of like a broom to pull things out. So I definitely
Yep.
did a little bit of that. Yeah. So I did follow that protocol. But afterwards, I got into colonics and enemas more.
Yeah.
So, I would recommend it, but, I didn't do it and it still worked. It was still really, really efficient. Yeah. Right now, I'm not doing any
Wow.
Husket clay. I'm just doing straight juices. Hmm.
So with this present juice, was it just something like a challenge for yourself, or did you just kind of feel intuitively like I just feel like I have more to kind of process? Because I know I've heard Shane talk before about like his 40-day juice fast that he did, and then he often says like, once you do it and you get rid of the mucoid plaque, then you're done. You don't really have to do it again as long as you start eating healthfully and start eating raw foods and you're not incorporating the old like habits that
Yeah.
we originally had come from. So what was like your kind of impetus to start this one?
Yeah. I don't agree. I
100
don't agree
days.
with
Oh
that
my
at all.
goodness.
I don't. I think we have years and years of
Yeah,
accumulated waste inside of our bodies, and I think it takes
absolutely.
a long time to really get out all the old waste. So
Yeah.
depending where we come from, and then there's different layers of that healing
Yes.
journey. Like right now, I'm releasing parasites that I wasn't releasing in my last juice cleanses, and I have felt the calling to juice
Wow.
cleanse every year since that first juice cleanse. So I did, yeah, after that 113 days, I went 6 months and I did another one. I did 66 days and then I went another like
Wow.
year and then I did another 96 days. And each
Oh my
time there was more
goodness.
plaque coming out. And I was
Wow.
eating, I would say not perfectly 100% raw, but pretty much like I would say 95% raw with certain periods where I would have a little bit of cooked vegetables,
Yeah,
sometimes
right.
restaurant foods, I'm just like, I'm very open about my journey. I'm on a path. Like, yes, I'm
Yeah, of
trying to be like
course.
100% raw. And I've had periods where I needed a little bit more grounding and I was caught up, but I did get caught up a little bit in my addictions before this juice cleanse. I was finding myself slipping back into even like rice and the
Yeah.
restaurant food is what gets me, like the Thai food and the Indian food,
I know, I
That's
know.
really challenging.
Yeah, I think that's always, I think we, for the most part, people, when they start going down this road and you say, you're going to be kind of basically withdrawing from cooked food, and they think, oh, it's just food because we don't think of it like a drug.
Yeah,
But when you're going through something like that, whether it's a juice fasting, water fasting, or even just eating raw foods, I mean, these cravings and these old addictions that we've had, they sometimes come full force, and it takes such a strong discipline and always coming, I always like to say, always circle back to your why. Like, why am I doing this?
yeah,
What was my purpose in the first place? Because it really is, it's like, how, so for you, those addictions, like, I would imagine your first juice fast was like, is this one a little bit easier in terms of your cravings from the
definitely,
first one you did? Yeah.
definitely, yeah, yeah. The first one was more challenging, and then as I progressed, the first few days I would say are the hardest. Always,
Yeah.
the first like 2-3 days just to get used to not chewing food, but then once I get past that, and I know how to protect myself better now. I know, like I went to the restaurant the other day with my family and that was really challenging. So I try to avoid certain situations where I'm
Yes.
exposed to food or I'm smelling a lot of food. I do have to make food for my daughter. So sometimes it's hard, but like you said,
Yeah.
when we have a strong why, it really, really helps us. And also like I have an accountability partner. My best friend, Jenny,
Yeah.
Queen Sherylea, is doing
Yes.
this with me as well. So we were both like, we had put on some weight. We were feeling bloated, not motivated. So it affects us on an emotional level too. It's not just
Oh,
physical. It's like, I have so much to do. Like I'm writing a book. I have so many projects and I was
yes.
kind of feeling stuck in a lot of different ways. So this juice cleanse was really about like helping me to get back on track with my work, with my mission, feeling connected more to myself, to God, and just like getting things done. So
Yeah.
it helps to have somebody doing it with us.
Oh, I mean, was going to say like having, whether you're part of a membership group, like you have an accountability partner. It's like sometimes when you go down these like longer cleanses, detox, that type of thing, it's like you kind of feel like a lone wolf sometimes. And, life's happening all around us. And so I love that sense of community. What are some things that you have acquired in terms of self-discipline over the years of doing these juice cleanses to kind of keep you on track when things come up, like restaurants or smells, or you have a young daughter, so I mean you're preparing food for her. I'm sure she's preparing food even for herself. So yeah, what are some self-discipline kind of tips you can give people?
Thank you. Great questions. This is really helpful. I love to share. So
Yeah.
definitely breath work has been
Mhm.
so crucial, connecting to my breath and having a practice, like having
Yes.
that's my anchor, whenever I feel myself kind of drifting off, or I realize my breath isn't so deep. So I just come back to my breath. I take deep, long breaths.
Yeah.
I really try to like calm my nervous system down. So my
Hmm.
focus in overcoming food addictions, drugs and alcohol addictions has been, breath work, yoga, like
Yeah.
practicing mindfulness, and just like realizing that I'm not my thoughts, realizing that I'm not my cravings, that I can rise above them. And I have conversations with myself. Like
Yeah.
sometimes I'll be like, just not right now, like don't make any decisions right now. If you decide to eat tomorrow, eat tomorrow. But
Yeah.
if you make a decision now, you're more than likely going to regret it. So just
Yeah,
try to make it
totally.
to the night, just like make it to the
Yes.
night. I move the energy around, I'll dance, I'll sing, I'll scream if I have to. I try to
Yeah.
channel that energy in different ways, through journaling, art, creativity, work, calling a friend. Like I have my whole toolbox that
Yeah, yeah, for
how to
sure.
figure out what's best in this moment. I'll go to the thrift store and like go, spend a couple dollars on some
Yeah,
clothes, that helps
like
me.
something to just kind of like it is a distraction, but sometimes those are really needed just to get you through so that you're not going to make like an unhealthy choice that you're going to regret,
Yeah.
right? For sure. We know that. So for you, like coming from a background of having like some eating disorders, like have you found that those, like where on the healing part of that aspect, have you found that the juicing in particular has really allowed you to really face some of the reasons that you were in that place to begin with?
100%. Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Mhm.
And it's a bit of a controversial subject, because a lot of
Yeah.
people, like, I have received that, that I am still in my eating disorder, that this is very restrictive
Yeah.
kind of way of eating. And, I can only speak from my own experience, and sometimes I do worry that, we had the example of Queen Zana, who,
Yeah.
unfortunately passed away. And, like all my very, I'm sure, well-intentioned aunts, wrote to me
Yes.
saying like, look, this is unhealthy. And I'm like, well, you know, we can have eating disorders whether we're raw vegan. We can have eating
Yeah.
disorders whether we are eating meat. We can have eating disorders,
Absolutely.
and again, like, what is a disorder? Like, I look around and I say, okay, well, eating a normal diet seems to me like a disorder. So,
Yes.
it's a very complex kind of
Yeah.
thing. I think at the end of the day is like, am I loving myself? Am I
Yes.
depriving myself? Am I underindulging or overindulging? And what the raw foods and the juices have helped me do is to find more of a balance
Right.
with like how to nourish myself. So, like I won't restrict with the juices, I won't restrict with the raw foods. I
Yes.
will eat an abundance of raw foods till I feel like full, and sometimes like a little bit over full, but I
Yeah.
feel good and I don't feel like, oh, I need to, purge it. I don't need to like,
Hmm.
punish myself like that, because it's all
Yeah.
nourishing. So it's definitely helped me to like love myself more. Um,
Yes, for
yeah.
sure. And so like because I think we can look at like no one really knows like unless you've been in someone's shoes, like
Mhm.
you've lived that part of your life, you've lived that, so you know firsthand what that feels like and what the reasons were that kind of led you there. And so I would imagine that cultivating more self-love is like a daily kind of discipline almost. Like for a lot of us, right? I mean, I think a lot of us maybe are in denial about our whether or not we really truly love ourselves and what that means, but like it is a practice. And so how like is it kind of through your meditation or through your, like you said, yoga, and even the act of just juicing and knowing that that's self-love, like
Mhm.
because I would imagine that, I guess what I wanted to ask you, like, do you find it difficult? Is it hard for you to kind of cultivate that self-love, or is every day kind of like an easier kind of step by step, one foot in front of the other kind of process to that place of self-love?
Yeah, it's definitely a day by day journey. And I find myself like, it's like in the little things that I see my growth has been happening,
Mhm.
like speaking up for myself, when something doesn't
Mhm.
feel right in a relationship, for example, or the thoughts that I'll have in my mind. Like, let's say I did, have a cheat meal, for example, just like sitting
Yeah.
down with myself and being like, you're doing great. You're doing the best you can. Like,
Yeah.
can you love yourself? So I try to notice my thoughts that come in, and just kind of like, yeah, just treat myself more like I would a best friend. I'm a really great
Yes.
friend. I love my friends. I always have like such loving things to say to them. So I started looking at myself like I'm my best friend. And it's
Yeah.
not perfect all the time. I still have the negative voice, and
Yeah, of
sometimes
course.
I make decisions that aren't so aligned with love, but I just keep trying to come back to love. And really with like good supportive friends, especially women in my life, has been super, super helpful, because I've been choosing, the quality of my friends too has been changing. So like choosing people that will reflect to me that which I want to see in myself, and that which like I give back to them. So definitely having a
Yes.
positive circle of friends that uplift you is so important.
Yes.
But yeah, I think all those practices have really helped me. And the living foods their own, it's like they're like loving foods. So
Yeah,
you
exactly.
love the food, like they'll love you back, and they'll reflect back that self love. So it's been a very organic, natural process. And I've also worked with some plant medicine. I don't know how much we want to get into that, but
Yeah, I was actually going to ask you about that. So that's perfect.
yes, yes. They have been a huge catalyst for change and transformation. And, they're plants as well. So everything
Yeah.
from nature, we have to seek our medicine. And I believe that all plants hold medicine, and we just have to find what resonates with us.
Yes.
Or what seeks us. Like it's like they found me literally. Like I had no idea about any of this. And when I was struggling with drugs and alcohol addictions, this was presented to me as an option for healing, and I knew I didn't want to go down the pharmaceutical route. So when I found out there
Yes.
was a natural way to overcome, I was like 100% yes. My whole body, my soul. Like I went to Mexico. I had no idea what I
Wow.
was
Was
expecting.
it ayahuasca that you did?
So the first time I did ibogaine,
Oh,
um,
okay. I have a
IBOGA.
friend who just did that.
Oh wow, really? Wow.
Yep.
Yeah, I did ayahuasca later on, but the
Okay.
first my entry point was definitely ibogaine. So I went to a clinic. They do it
Yep.
under clinical supervision in Mexico, and I mean that whole experience. I like
Wow.
it's hard to put into words, right? But I came out
Wow.
transformed. I came out loving life. I came out loving
Wow.
myself, and
It
at that
almost
point.
sounds like a rebirthing kind of happened through that process.
Yes, yes. It
Wow.
reprograms our brain to a pre-addictive state as well. So it like helps to fire back up all the neurotransmitters that were broken, damaged through trauma, through the drugs, the alcohol, the binging and purging, the depression. Like our brain changes. And so this kind of not kind it brings it back.
Wow.
We have like a window of opportunity to relearn like how to develop new skill sets, put in like, take on new habits in our life as well. And of course, it's not like a magic thing, but
Yeah.
it definitely helps us in so many ways, physically,
Yeah.
mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Like, yeah,
Wow.
it's
And I'm sure like
powerful.
being intentional going into like you're a very intentional person, so I
Yeah,
feel like going into something like that with some very strong intentions
yeah,
probably just magnifies the experience for you.
yeah,
So when you came out of that, how long was it between the ibogaine and the ayahuasca?
yeah. So after the ibogaine, I was clean for a few months. I was clean for a few months, and I'll say some of the mistakes that I did make.
Mm-hmm.
One of them was not going into therapy,
Mm-hmm.
not going to meetings, which I
Yeah.
implemented later on
Yeah.
afterwards because I did end up relapsing
Mm-hmm.
after about 3 months after the ibogaine. So I started, started with smoking weed and then drinking alcohol, and
Yeah.
then the cocaine came back in. So
Yeah.
then I went for ayahuasca after, I think it was 6 months after the ibogaine was 6 months after. And then I did ayahuasca
Wow.
ceremony.
And was the ayahuasca to try to kind of like make that shift again,
Yes.
like to yeah, okay. And how was that after you finished the ayahuasca?
Yeah, that was also super powerful. Ayahuasca is, it's very different from the ibogaine. It's hard to compare them, but it
Uh-huh.
was another beautiful, beautiful experience. Like
Wow.
another, like coming home to myself. I healed a lot of traumas. I cried a lot, a lot. Like there, I literally faced like certain things that happened in my childhood. I mean, the ibogaine too, but it was like I had never felt that self love with anything else than the ayahuasca. It was like I was being like
Mhm.
held by the divine mother. It was a very
Yes.
beautiful experience. So each one of those experiences have helped me to like evolve, grow, transcend, and I treat them with a lot of respect, reverence. I won't do them like back to back. I take some
Sure.
few months to like integrate them. And then I found myself a coach that was like specialized in plant medicine integration. I think the integration bit is so important,
Yeah, sure.
to
Mhm.
really like bring it home. And how am I gonna, you know, bring those lessons that the medicine showed me into my life? Like yes,
Yes.
I've seen that I have to do these things to be a better mom, but like how am I gonna do that, day to day? What does that
Yeah,
look
in the real world. Yeah.
like?
For sure.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the next thing I wanted to talk to you about was like the unpacking or the processing of the emotional traumas and wounding and all of those things that, I'm such a big proponent of like doing the work on that side because I feel like, we can get ourselves kind of pigeonholed into just the diet
Yeah.
or you can see people just over exercising all of these things, but really it's the whole. And I
Mhm.
think sometimes the emotional aspect gets completely left out, mostly because we don't want to look at it, because we don't want to go through the pain, because by nature I think we're pain avoiders, and so we choose to numb it down through like what you just talked about, whether it's like alcohol, drugs, food, whatever, anything to kind of face all of the traumas that all of us are carrying around, but so many of us don't want to look at. And so my first question was going to be, through your rehab prior, like over the years, had you started to kind of unpack those traumas that you had had in your life, including the ancestral traumas as well, because I'm a big proponent of that. So did that happen, or was that a result of starting the living foods and the juicing?
It was already started, I would say, when I was probably like around 15, 16, but it
Uh-huh.
really like unlocked, I would say, when I
Yeah.
started cleansing, detoxifying, and doing the plant medicine, where like it wasn't just a cognitive thing, but I was really ready to go into it. I think I had been scared up until that point. I really didn't understand, I was in like eating disorders clinic and centers like that where we had to talk about our feelings and emotions and
Yeah.
like I don't know, I don't really remember really going deep. It's like, oh, let me just do the work and
Sure.
get back out, and then I would get
Yeah.
sick again. So I was kind of just going through the motions to keep everybody happy around me, but it
Yeah, of
really it
course.
was like 10, I would say 10 years ago when I started. And I don't really understand that. Like, how can we not deal with our emotions when we're on this path? Like, how can we not when we're
I
on a juice
know.
cleanse or when we're on the fruit? It's like, sometimes I'll just cry out of the blues. And I'm
Yeah.
just like, oh my God, I remember this thing from, long time ago.
Yeah.
But I guess it does. Maybe because I am ready and open. Maybe it doesn't happen to everyone. I think even the
Yeah.
medicine sometimes, they say that it'll only show you what you're ready to see. So if I'm
Yes.
ready to feel, if I'm ready to receive and to go deep, and I feel called, and I know my ancestors are, calling me to heal, and I'm ready to do whatever it takes, and maybe that's why, but maybe not
Yes.
everybody is ready to. So I think it depends on how ready we are. And I was just like, I'm ready to do whatever it takes. I was seeing people dying of like fentanyl overdoses.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
remember being like, but he never cried in therapy. He never told us how he really felt. He never,
Mhm.
he never went there. And I was like, I'm going to go there. Like, I don't want to die. I got
Yeah.
really scared of ending my life too soon. So I just said, like, if I need to cry, if I need to feel, if I need to be alone, I was celibate for 7 years. I said, if these
Yeah.
men are driving me crazy, like, I'm going to just close that door for now. And God
Yeah.
didn't send me anybody for 7 years.
Yeah.
So I did
Yeah. Wow.
everything to just like surrender my life to God, to my child, and do what was being asked of me. So it's been a whole shift of like, what do I want? And I mean, yes, this is also
Yes.
what I want, but also like what is being asked of me. And now I'm like, oh, that is what I want. So like I didn't really realize
Yeah, for
all that
sure.
before. But
And
yeah.
then also too, I mean, obviously you had an open heart and you were, so many of us walk around with armor on,
Yeah.
we're all armored up and it's kind of like impenetrable, like we just can't get in.
Mhm.
And so did you specifically work like, aside from doing the plant, which I want to circle back around to your plant medicine journeys, but had you taken any time out in kind of your adult life to uncover doing some of the inner child work that, I mean, I feel is so necessary to really understand and acknowledge and respect that part of ourselves?
Yes, I got to do a lot of that in Austin actually when I
Okay.
was in sober living. I was in Austin and I just was introduced to ecstatic dancing. I was
Oh, wow.
introduced
Yeah.
to like sweat lodge. We did some art therapy. I went swimming, like, and I got to also, I had to leave my daughter for a little while. So I had a little bit of time. I'm a single mom, so I didn't really have much support from her dad. So I was just
Right.
overwhelmed. So I got to like, yeah, just play and be with myself again and go and have fun with friends. And it was a really, really healing time for me to be in that space. So I love Austin so much. I have a lot of love
Yeah.
for that place. It was just like I
Yeah,
was
I
seeing
bet.
everybody get all dressed up and put on fun costumes, like just to walk down the street. And I was like, oh my God. So,
Yeah.
yeah, expressing myself in those ways and coming home to like giving myself that. So it's been, and I realized I was very like blocked with my inner child for a long time, even when my baby girl was small and she wanted to play. I remember it being like kind of difficult for me to sit down and
Yes.
play. And I found it challenging because like I was thinking of like everything else I needed to do and I was caught up in my addictions. And so I have, I have to like give myself a lot of compassion and grace and her
Of
too. Like
course.
I was trying, but now that she's 13, I want to play and she doesn't want to play anymore.
Yeah, right. I know. Yeah, they get to that age where they don't want anything to do with you.
Yeah.
So how do you how is it now with your daughter, like with you juicing, and how does she kind of feel about your process with
Yeah.
doing 100 days on juicing and kind of, I'm sure, like the highs and lows that you experience on this journey?
Yeah. Well, it's changed a lot. The first time I juiced, she was not happy about it at all. Like she wanted me to sit down with her and eat.
Yes.
So that was a little bit challenging for us. Um,
Sure.
but she kind of got used to it and she sees my father juicing as well sometimes. So it's just part of her reality. And actually
Yeah.
today, well, she's been talking about wanting to get on a juice cleanse because she hasn't been feeling that great. I allow her to explore all, whatever she wants to eat
Yeah,
and give her
sure.
more of a, and she was vegan for a while and she was just like resenting me a lot for it and wanted to eat what other kids were eating. And
Yeah.
I found myself being like, oh my gosh, am I just doing the same thing as my mom who was forcing me to eat meat and I didn't want to eat
Yeah,
meat? And it's just like that power struggle I feel is more dangerous for a growing young woman,
totally.
eating disorders and the control with the mother and all that. So I was just like, okay, do
Yes.
whatever you want, explore. But she found herself not feeling good in her body and feeling bloated. So she's been wanting to start a juice cleanse. And so today she's starting. So
Really? Oh my God, that's amazing.
it was
I
the
know,
perfect
isn't it?
time.
It feels so good when our kids like I feel the same as you. I mean, when my kids were young, I think I was I was strict more of the younger years, and then I
Mhm.
kind of loosened up the reins as they got into their teenage years. But
Yeah.
now, like my son, he's 21, and he's in Mexico right now, and he's like, I'm going to do like 3 days on juices, or I'm just going to I'm just going to eat some
Wow.
fruit. And it just is like, wow, that's so amazing. Like
Yeah.
that they have because I really feel like even though maybe at the time they're not fully supportive of what you're doing, they're still taking that in, and they're witnessing, and they're seeing like your energy and your glow. And it's like you can't deny when you look at you and you hear you speaking. So I think it really, it becomes part of them. And even if it's not right now, I feel like they will come back around to it, for sure.
I'm so happy
Yeah.
to hear that. I'm so happy to hear that. I'm always a little scared to share that. There's a lot of criticism, in the vegan community, and it could be a little bit harsh out there, but this is our life.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, we bring these beings into our world, and we can lead by example, but ultimately they are on their own journey,
Yes,
and they're not on our journey. It's
right.
not Our journey isn't theirs, and I feel like it's a disservice to project that onto them,
Mm,
because then they carry the weight of that, it's like, and we don't want to add any more to, they've got enough going on, and so all you can do is just like trust them and have like an open heart, and just know. And I swear, like most people that I talk to, like 9 times out of 10, the kids always circle back around,
mm,
but it's just part of the path. Like we all, these things are available. And especially when you're in that peer group, it's like sometimes it's really hard to feel like you don't belong. We
right.
have that sense to belong, or to have that acceptance piece. And it's a lot to put on a child to say, you can't go and do this. And I just feel all that does is create resentment,
Mm.
in the end. So I totally validate what you're doing. I love it. It's great.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so
Yeah,
much. Yeah,
yeah,
it's
of
been a journey of
course.
me letting go too, letting go of the control, letting go of, yeah, like putting onto her what I feel is best for her. But it's like we have to look at the long term too, It's like,
Yes.
yeah, sure, I could like have her be vegan and a certain way, but then when she's 18 or, whatever, she leaves the house, whenever she leaves the house, who's to say that elastic won't just like
Yes.
and pop and
And
it's
I'm
the other way around.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm always like, I don't want my kids sitting on a therapist's couch when they're like 25 or whatever, because of the things that I've, pushed on them that maybe they just didn't want, and they're individuals. So yeah, so I think for me, it's the best thing to do for sure. And it's proven to be that way with all three of my kids. They're all very health conscious, they're very aware. They're not raw vegan, but they are very whole foods based, and they make really good choices for their age, I'd say. So,
That's great.
it's great. Yeah.
Oh, thank you for
So, yeah, of course, for sure. So for you, the community piece so you said you have your best friend and you're going through this together. Do
Mhm.
you also have like an online group, or something that you're doing, group juicing, group detox, like something where you're allowing kind of others to kind of join in on what you're doing?
Yeah, so I created a community of my own. When I stopped working with Shane, I was feeling called to start a community of my own.
Yeah.
So it's called Kings and Queens of Raw.
I love that.
RNW.
That's so cool.
So I call myself Queen Aline, but I don't think I'm the only queen. I think everybody's a queen and
Yeah,
everybody's a
sure.
king. So we're all here, God's kings and queens, following the natural path and coming home to ourselves. So yeah, we host weekly royal gatherings where sometimes we do like integration meetings, and then sometimes I invite a guest to come and share
Yep.
their journey of how they've been healing themselves. And then every few months, Jenny and I, we host a group. This is a Kings and Queens is a free community, but then we host a paid community called the Sweet Spot, and
Okay.
the juicing group. But also like we offer variations. If they want to do juicing and fruit, it's like a cleansing group. So then we meet as well. We do support calls, and it's a more like intimate group. And right now we're in the
Wow.
process of creating an app as well,
Oh,
and another
good.
more like permanent paid community as well. So that's in the
Wow,
works. Yeah.
yeah, that's amazing. And so for you, do you have a like a spiritual practice? Do you like what does that look like? Do you practice meditation? I know breath work could certainly be part of that as well. But do you have like an active meditation practice? Like what would that look like for you?
Yes. So it's changed a lot throughout the years. Sometimes I'm more consistent than others. And right now I've been
Sure.
getting into being more consistent with it, even if that means, 5 or 10 minutes in the rising and then 5 or 10 minutes in the evening time. I'm kind of like building it back up. I used to do
Yes.
probably more like 30, 45 minutes, a while ago, and then I kind of came off, but I'm bringing it back. So I definitely like in the rising, before I get on my phone, before I do anything, like I try to take 5, 10 minutes, just like sitting in silence, cross-legged with my hands on my knees
Yeah.
and just like centering myself, setting like an intention. And I do that
Yes.
in the evening time too. I have a little altar where I pray. I get on my knees. I light some candles, and I, you know,
Yeah, that's
pray to
amazing.
pray to Jesus, pray to God, pray to my ancestors,
Beautiful.
and ask for protection like that. So yeah, I try every day to connect and read a bit of the Bible. Read some. I also really love Buddhism as well, so
Yeah.
I read some, different spiritual books. I'm not like religious particularly, but
Yep.
do like to take different teachings from different
Yeah.
spiritual.
I'm so with you on that. I love to just kind of look into, I feel like there's like nuggets of
Yeah.
wisdom in like all of the teachings, and it's just kind of allowing yourself to be guided as to what's kind of resonating at the moment. And it's like, there's so much to be, you can get so much inspiration, I feel, from, yeah, like reading something from Buddhism, and then you can go to Christianity. Like there's all of these different things that can just add, like, I feel like too, as we get older, we're more open to the idea of these things. And so it's like, for me anyways, I'll read something and it's like I feel it in every cell of my body. Like
Ooh.
it's like that integration piece, right? Yeah. It's like wow, it's like I just read that and I feel as if like it's completely integrated into me by through the words of reading. It's really quite powerful. And then the breath work as well. Is that a daily practice for you, the breath work?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Daily practice.
Is
I
it
like
like
my
Wim Hof kind of style breath work, or like what kind of breath work specifically are you doing?
yeah. Sometimes I'll do Wim Hof,
Mhm.
but I like how my friend Jerome said it. He taught me this because I used to think I had to do it like every day, at 6 a.m. and have this like consistent practice. But
Yeah.
when I talked to him one time, I go, What is your meditation practice?" And he goes, "On demand." So
Oh
I
yeah, I love that.
on with that, like on demand, like if I need some, alternate nostril breathing, I'll do that. I really just tap into what is it that I need right now. Do I need a,
Yeah.
breath of fire, or do I
Yeah.
need
Yeah.
slow breathing? So I'll do it sporadically, like throughout the day, sometimes
Yeah.
before my meditation. But if I'm finding myself, like even in the car, sometimes I'll do a little bit of breath work. So I try to like
Yeah.
weave it into my days. And for me, that feels really good. I'm a Pisces, so I'm very like fluid. I'm not like the
Yeah.
most like routine kind of person. So I'm like, how can I weave this into my day and make this part of my everyday life? So I feel
Yeah.
like that.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So are you still in Belize part time?
Yes, I am. So right now I'm in
Okay.
Montreal, but we have a little like jungle resort in Belize that I go
Wow.
to, and my daughter's dad is from there, so she goes back there to visit him. So we go twice a year right now. She is in
Okay.
school right here, and eventually we'd love to move back there, build a little like tiny home village,
Yeah, amazing.
vegetarian space. So, but
Is it
all in due time.
Yeah, for sure. Everything always just kind of, manifests as it should. What about for you living in like I'm from Canada too, so it's like how do you handle the cold weather and eating this way? I mean, perfect time right now to be doing a juice cleanse because you're like in the beautiful, like in the summer and everything. But like for me, my goal is to definitely, I want to move somewhere more
Mhm.
tropical so that I can have access to,
Yeah.
fruit hanging off the tree and putting
I
my feet in the
know.
ground. So how do you cope in the wintertime?
I struggle a lot.
Yeah, I bet.
I struggle a lot.
Especially after living in Belize. I mean,
Yeah.
this is complete opposition of each other.
Oh, it's hard. It's hard, and I do travel during the winter. Like God bless.
Yes, yes.
I have to because I don't know. I really get depressed. I still struggle with seasonal depression when I'm here for
Yes.
sure. Not getting enough sunlight, being inside. I used to have a dog that we were walking like 3 times a day. I had to go outside and walk in the
Yeah.
cold. I mean, it helped to get some exercise, but
Yeah.
I just dreaded going outside sometimes. But
Yeah,
we
for
just kind of go
sure.
through it, and the living foods actually help. Like as hard as it is, it does still help to stay like on a
Yes.
positive mood. And I have juice cleansed during a winter time. Yeah, it was a part of a winter time where I did juice cleanse, which was kind of crazy. Like I was remember walking in the snow carrying my like
Oh, yeah, with your
fruit. I'm
yeah.
in the tropics. This is crazy.
Well, also too for you, I would imagine just the quality as well, right? Like having things kind of shipped in as opposed to like things that are local. I mean, in Belize, you've got, I
Yeah.
mean, is that something that would you like to move there permanently again? Or do you really kind of see yourself staying part-time in Montreal?
Oh no, like maybe I would have a foot somewhere in the States, like in Austin, maybe like between
Yeah.
Austin and Belize would be my ideal situation,
Yeah.
something to, because I do love to travel. I love Belize. I would love to be there, most of the time. And also it's kind of nice to go back to, you know,
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
malls and
Oh,
movie theaters and all that stuff.
yeah, just to kind of have the blend of the two, right? Because I know sometimes it could be probably a little bit like you're not living in the
Yeah,
United States or in Canada where we have all these, things that we love right at our fingertips.
right.
So, but I feel like it would be really amazing just for the soul to just really reconnect when
Yeah.
you're living in a place like that, and you don't have all of these distractions all the
Mhm,
time, which
mhm.
kind of sometimes that's just the daily work is to not allow all the distractions to get ahead of what's really important, right? Because I think it happens to all of us. So,
Definitely.
right now, you've got your Kings and Queens group, then so your paid community, how do people connect with that?
Mhm. Well, it's still in the works, so we don't have it officially up yet, but
Okay.
I could definitely share. I'm also creating a new website. It's going to be queenaline.com. So
Okay.
that's in the process of being created as well.
Okay.
But for now, if anybody wants to get in touch with me, they could message me at rawveganqueenaline@gmail.com and
Okay.
send me a message and I'll add you to my mailing list. So I'm kind of like restructuring everything right now. But yeah,
Okay.
queenaline.com is coming up soon. And on Instagram, queenaline.raw,
Cool.
RAW.
I love that. And you're taking like clients to help them with their detox journey, with their raw food journey, their juicing, all of
Yes.
that?
Yes, I do one-on-one coaching. I offer 1 hour calls and also like a 6 month program if somebody wants to work with me for like a 6 month period of time or a 6 week
Okay.
period of time. So it
Yeah.
could be like a mini cleanse or a more extended juice cleanse. And I could cater to
Okay.
anything you need. Like if you need to work with me for a year, then I could definitely do that. But yeah, I love
Wow.
working with people one-on-one. It really helps, when we go into like different things too. Like I don't stop at just the food. We talk about relationships. We talk about breath work. I can guide them. I'm kind of an intuitive coach, so I help them depending on what they need. So some people may be ready for some dance and movement. Some people
Yeah,
may
right.
for some, breath work. Some maybe not. So I just really like tune in to what the individual needs and support them with that.
Aw,
And I could
I
help
love
them too,
that.
like through a transition if they don't necessarily want to do a juice cleanse. There's other ways to get to raw that don't involve a juice cleanse. Some people may go the mucusless diet healing system with like, you know,
Right.
raw till 4 for a while. Juice cleanse is not the only way. It's just a way
Sure.
to get there. Yeah.
It is kind of a fast track though, for sure.
Yeah.
I was just talking yesterday, I was talking to Dan McDonald. I had him on and we were
Oh,
talking
wow.
about our first one we did was all like emotional stuff and unpacking all of that. And yesterday was kind of a little bit of that, but we also talked about the juicing and using, like enzyme therapy and things like that. And just like how the acceleration of, you can definitely just eat raw foods and you're going to be cleansing and detoxing. But if you're implementing a juice cleanse and you're hydrating and you're, maybe taking some herbs or some enzymes and getting colonics, it's like you're completely just, you are on the fast track to getting like what you talked about, the parasites out, all of that. I think a lot of our, circling back around to the trauma piece, a lot of those live in our
Mhm.
tissues, and it's through hydrating them and, getting that waste out where it's like, that's how we can help remove those blockages that we have within our bodies, both physical and emotional. It's all connected.
Oh yeah, and so many people, to reiterate that, so many people will come on the juice cleanse and feel very irritable or very angry at some point.
Yeah.
And then like I've come to understand that they're just on the verge of a big release, because
Right.
they do affect us emotionally. So they don't want to die, right? They don't want to leave you, which
Yeah.
is the host, which is a comfortable home for them. So they wreak havoc on us emotionally. So
Yes.
people are like, "Oh my God, I'm so irritable and I just want to like scream." And I'm like, "Oh my God, just like hold on like one or two few more days, you're gonna see what comes out." And then once they
Yeah.
have that big release, I was feeling that yesterday and I had a release today and I feel so much better. But
Wow.
it's like, yeah, it's still happening. And I cannot
Wow.
even believe what's happening, right now. And it's almost like I'm doing these to show myself, because I'm like, oh no, like there can't be that much. I remember when I did my first long juice cleanse, I was like, I don't have mucoid plaque. Like I'm super healthy.
Yeah. Not me.
Not me. I was like, oh my gosh, yes, me.
Wow. So, yeah. So, are you implementing colonics on this one?
I've done a few enemas, but no colonics. Yeah, but
Okay.
I have done some colonics, colon hydrotherapy with the Angel of Water
Yeah.
in the last few years, but I haven't gone. I'd be curious to go though. I probably, yeah, I might do
Yeah. I
it.
mean, I really want to do a really extended juice fast as well. Like I said, when we started, I did 21 days and I went on my last day, I went and I did a colonic, and the parasite that came out of my body was like, it was literally on that last day. And I took a picture of it. I was like, I can't even believe this. And it's one of those things where until you see it actually come out of your body, there's like, you just can't describe that feeling
Mhm.
of, it was like life changing for me seeing that like
Yeah.
leave my body. And so I'm thinking, like, I know I have more if there's, I know I do. So, but yeah, it's amazing. Like, you are such an inspiration and such a motivation for others who want to really be able to come to a place where they feel like they are able, like they have the discipline and the self-love piece that I think it comes back around too, to the self-love piece, because so many people don't believe they can. They just think, I can't do it. I just can't do it. And they put up that roadblock. And so you're sitting here and you're on your second round now of this amazing journey, and you're sharing, and I just feel like it's such a beautiful inspiration for others who want to do an extended fast like this.
Mhm.
So thank you for that.
Thank you so much. Yes. And I
Yes.
just want to tell everybody, that you can do it. You just, like, there is no limit to what you can do. You really can do so much once you believe in yourself, and start small. Like, it doesn't necessarily have to be an extended juice cleanse. My first
Yeah.
ones were 7 days, 10 days. Set yourself some smaller goals. My friend Jenny, she has a group called the Weekend Juice Fasters as well, where she encourages people to do 2 days a week. 2 days a
Okay.
week is huge. That adds up over the years.
Over
So
time.
yeah,
Sure.
so build that trust in yourself, build that confidence in yourself, Once you see that you could go one day on juices, you'll be like, wow, I did that. Just like going one day without alcohol could be a big
Yes.
deal. So trust yourself that you can do it. And then once you get through that one day, then you build that confidence, and then you could, string a second day and a third day. But yeah, just,
Next thing you know, you're at 7, 10, 20.
yeah.
So I meant to ask you, I forgot to ask you, what's your quantity? Like when you're juicing like this, are you making sure you're really getting those, what is it, like a gallon of juice in a day, basically?
Yeah, so I would say, depending on the person too, everybody's different, but I would say definitely minimum 4 of these a day. Four 32
Right.
ounces quarts a day to about 6 or 8,
Okay.
depending, if somebody,
Right.
um,
Depending on how active you are, I
yeah,
guess. And
exactly.
sure.
But I say don't restrict. Do not
Okay.
restrict. Like one of the biggest mistakes people make is not drinking enough juice, especially
Yes.
fruit juices. Fruit
I was
juices
just going to ask you, are you restrictive on the fruit juice?
at all, at all, at all. Like most days I just drink fruit juices, honestly. And then once in a while I'll say, oh, I'm having a little like sodium craving. And then I'll
Yeah.
do what I like to call like a V10, like a V8, but I put like
Okay.
celery, beets, carrots, tomatoes, parsley, lime, and it tastes like, those V8s.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
Kind of, I mean, they're like,
Yeah. But better, but better.
yeah, but you kind of like satisfy that salt craving. So when we're having salt
Right.
cravings in the evening, especially for me, then I'll have the celery or just straight celery juice. Medical medium, he just recommends starting the day
Yes.
with celery juice. So yeah, I prefer
Okay.
fruit during the day, but I definitely don't restrict.
Okay. I'm
Cantaloupe.
glad you said that. 'Cause, I mean, I feel like, just we are attracted to fruit. We want to eat the fruit. And I think for most people, like maybe one or two green juices a day would be like reasonable, but they're not as tasty as a fruit juice for sure. And like for me personally, it was really hard to try to like I was like, I'm going to do half and half. And I just ended up surrendering to the fact that I really want to just have the fruit juice, and I'm just going to like allow and trust my body that it's not steering me in the wrong direction.
No.
So I did like, 4, sometimes 5. And then I do like just one green juice where I'd load up on like parsley and cilantro and celery. And like you said, but that's amazing because yeah, it's kind of like, yes, you can do fruit juice and you can still succeed, and you can still, you're not creating like all this candida in your body and all of these things that people talk about.
No. Yeah.
Yeah. And
No.
I
So
also,
yeah.
yeah. And I also think that that's really important because I think that can be one of the defining, like, as to whether or not you're going to succeed or not. Because if you don't like what you're drinking, if you're making juice and you're just kind of like trying to like suck it back, but you're not really liking it, I
Mhm.
feel like trying to succeed with that is really probably not as much of a reality as if you're like, oh my gosh, this pineapple juice
Yes.
is so good.
Exactly. Yeah, you have to
Yeah.
enjoy it. You want to enjoy the journey. And some people do
Yeah.
prefer, they like the green juice, they like how it tastes.
Yeah.
Not me. Like I struggled a lot with the green juices.
Yeah.
And it was the same. Like I felt kind of bad just having the fruit juices, but you got to trust yourself in that process, and you
Exactly.
got to make it as
Exactly.
enjoyable as possible. So I 100% agree.
Yeah, for sure. So I have one question I ask all my guests. It's the same one at the end of each podcast. And the question is, what is your authentic life print? What is your unique expression as Aline in the world?
Ooh. Unique expression. Like what am I here to do?
Yeah, like there'll never be another one of you. So
Hmm.
what is your unique gift to this world as Queen Aline?
I think I help people believe in themselves and
Yeah.
like believe in miracles, especially
Yeah,
those
beautiful.
who've known me, who saw how deep and dark I went.
Yes.
I give hope. I think I give hope to people to like turn their hearts to God too, and then like have him transform us, because like everything I'm doing is by his grace. I really feel like I
Yes.
was saved and I was given not just a second chance, but a third and a fourth and a fifth chance
Yes.
at life.
Yes.
And it's like amazing what's been happening in my life. So I think, and if I could do it, then anybody could do it. I really believe we have
Yeah.
that potential. So
Right.
yeah, I help people find the potential within them, and just turn their hearts over to God and let the miracles
Oh.
flow in their life. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. It's beautiful. Well, thank you so much for coming on today and sharing. You, like I said, you really, really, really are inspirational, and you've got this beautiful energy and glow about you. And I feel like, yeah, I feel like you're really somebody that people can really connect with. So I'll list all of your info in the show notes. And yeah, thank you so much for coming on and sharing today.
Thank you. Right back at you, beautiful. You have an
Yeah.
amazing gift, and I really love coming on here. Thank you for having me, and thank you to everybody who's watching.